Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? This time we're cracking open The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
Oh, yeah, this one is a classic.
It really is. We're going to be exploring why we do what we do and how to change those things that aren't serving us.
You know how they say like 40% of our day is just automatic? Well, Duhigg lays out the science behind why that is.
40%. That's wild. It makes you think, huh, like what am I doing on autopilot that maybe I should be taking a closer look at?
Right. And how much of that's actually helping us versus, just happening because it's a habit.
So true. So to help us understand all this, Duhigg introduces this idea of the habit loop.
The habit loop.
Did you break that down for us?
Yeah, so it's like a three-step process.
Okay, three
Our
steps.
brains run through for like every single habit. First, you have the cue.
The cue, okay.
That's basically the trigger that kicks things off. It could be like a time of day, a certain feeling, even just like walking into a specific room.
Oh, I see. So, like, even just entering my kitchen could be a cue for a habit.
Exactly. Like your brain's like, oh, hey, we're in this familiar place. Time to do the thing.
Wow, it's already making me think about my own cues. So after the cue, then what?
Then you've got the routine. That's the actual behavior, the habit itself, the thing you do automatically.
So it's that automatic response. We've done it so many times, we don't even think about it.
Yeah, you got it.
But there's got to be a reason we keep doing these things, right? Like, what's the motivation?
Right. That brings us to the third step. The reward. This is like the payoff your brain gets for completing the routine. It's what makes you want to do it again and again.
So it could be like a feeling of relief or satisfaction.
Totally. Or like a rush of dopamine, or even just like a sense of accomplishment for checking something off your mental to-do list.
So the cue sets the stage, the routine is the action, and the reward is the prize.
You got it. And the more we repeat that loop, the stronger that habit
It's
becomes.
like we're wiring it into our brains, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so think about a habit you want to change. Let's say it's that late night snacking habit. The cue might be feeling stressed after a long day.
Right. Like you just want to unwind.
Then the routine is going to the kitchen and grabbing a bag of chips or something.
And the reward is that temporary feeling of comfort or distraction you get from the snack.
But Duhigg says we can actually change this.
We can, and it doesn't have to be this huge, overwhelming thing.
Really?
He says the key is to focus on changing the routine, not necessarily the cue or the reward.
Okay, I'm listening.
So you keep those same triggers, you keep that same sense of satisfaction, but you swap out the action in the middle.
Oh, that makes sense. So instead of reaching for those chips when I'm stressed, maybe I do something else that gives me that same feeling of relaxation, but is a little healthier.
Yeah, like what? Give me an example.
Hmm. Well, maybe instead of chips, I make a cup of tea.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or maybe I take a quick walk.
Those are great ideas.
I'm already starting to see how this could work.
It's pretty powerful stuff, right?
It is. But how do we make sure these new routines stick? Because let's be real, sticking with new habits can be tough.
You're telling me I think we all struggle with that. But don't worry, Duhigg's got some tips for us there too. He says one of the biggest things is to start small.
Start small, okay.
Yeah, a lot of times we try to change like everything at once,
Oh yeah, New Year's resolutions, totally guilty.
Exactly, but that can be so overwhelming. It's like setting ourselves up for failure.
So instead of trying to do a complete 180, we should just focus on like one tiny change at a time.
Exactly. It's about proving to yourself that you can do it, that you can build that consistency.
So like instead of saying I'm going to work out every day for an hour, maybe I start with just putting on my workout clothes every morning for a week.
Exactly, just like that little step, that's all it takes to get the ball rolling.
I like that it seems so much more manageable, right?
Way more manageable. And then once that little thing becomes a habit, you can build on it.
Okay, so start small. Got it. What else helps make those habits stick?
Duhigg also talks about the power of what he calls keystone habits.
Keystone habits. What are those?
And these are basically habits that have this ripple effect on other areas of your life.
Oh, interesting. Like how?
Well, let's say you make it a habit to exercise regularly.
Okay.
Chances are that's going to start to impact other areas of your life too, right?
Yeah, I could see that happening.
You might start eating healthier, sleeping better, having more energy, even feeling more confident.
Wow, so it's like one positive habit creates this chain reaction of other positive changes.
Exactly. It's like that keystone habit becomes the foundation for a whole new, healthier lifestyle.
I love that. So if someone's feeling stuck or overwhelmed, maybe a good place to start is figuring out what that one keystone habit could be for them.
Yeah. Like, what's the one habit that if you nailed it would have the biggest positive impact on everything else?
That's such a good question. Okay, so we've got starting small and focusing on keystone habits. Any other tips for making sure those new habits actually last?
This is where Duhigg brings in the idea of implementation intentions.
Implementation intentions. I remember this part.
It sounds kind of complicated, but it's actually really simple.
It's like a pre-commitment, right?
Yes, It's about getting super specific with yourself about when and where you're going to do the habit.
So instead of just saying, I'm going to meditate more, I say if it's 7 a.m., then I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes in my living room.
Exactly. You're basically removing the decision in the moment because you've already made it ahead of time.
I love that. It's like taking away all the excuses.
Exactly. And you know what's really cool about this?
What?
Duhigg found that implementation intentions are especially helpful when our willpower is low.
Oh, that makes sense because we don't have to rely on willpower in those moments we've already decided.
Exactly. It's like we're setting ourselves up for success.
It's like putting our habits on autopilot in a good way.
Exactly. You know, I actually use implementation intentions all the time for my writing.
Really? How so?
Well, I used to struggle with finding time to write, but then I started telling myself if it's 9 p.m. and I'm done with work, then I'm writing for at least 30 minutes.
And that works.
It does. It's amazing how much more I get down when I take the decision out of it.
It's like you're tricking your brain into just doing the thing.
Totally. And the best part is you can use this for any habit you're trying to build.
So true. Whether it's waking up earlier, eating healthier, or being more focused at work, implementation intentions could be a game changer.
Absolutely.
This has been such a great deep dive. Dewey gives us so much to think about.
He really does. And he backs it all up with so much research and real life examples.
Yeah, like it's one thing to say habits are powerful, but he actually shows us how they work in our brains and in our lives.
And the cool thing is, it's not just about like breaking bad habits, it's about building good ones too.
Right, it's about understanding those habit loops and using that knowledge to create the life we want.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we wrap up, is there anything else you think our listeners should know about the power of habit?
You know what? I think one of the most important takeaways from the book is that change is possible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like we're not stuck with the habits we have.
Right. Our brains are actually designed to be flexible. We can create new neural pathways, we can rewire those old patterns.
So it's not about being perfect, it's about being aware and being willing to experiment.
Yes. And remember to start small, focus on those keystone habits, and use those implementation intentions to lock in those new routines.
Such good advice. Well, I don't know about you, but I am feeling super inspired to start putting all of this into practice.
Me too. I'm already thinking about which habit I want to tackle next.
What about our listeners? What's one habit you're going to observe more closely today? What are the cues, routines, and rewards that are shaping your day?
Once you start paying attention, you might be surprised at what you discover.
And remember, awareness is the first step to change. So keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.